Hello, how you doing, guys? Welcome to the second in the series of the Lee Stafford Education live masterclasses. And my name's Lee Stafford, so I'm going to be one of your hosts today. So, how you all feeling? Please let us know with an emoji in the comments how you're feeling today. You're a thumbs up. Are you one in the middle? I hope you're not any of them. And as normal, guys, please let us know any questions you might have to do with the fantastic recipe that you're going to see today that Liam's going to present for you, or anything to do with the LSE training or anything to do with your careers, guys. We're here to help. So any questions that you've got about anything, please just feel free. We certainly won't make you feel silly for any questions that you ask. So without further ado, guys, I would like to introduce a very special staff. He's done a presentation for you guys before last year. He's an award-winning stylist. He's got his very own award-winning award-winning salon story. And he's an absolutely top man. So please give me a big thumbs up in the comments for Liam Fry.
Hello, everybody. My name is Liam Fry, and I am the owner and director of Tony Wood Hairdressing here in Southsea. And I feel really proud to be here today, again, delivering you guys a really lovely recipe from the Lee Stafford Education. However, done with a bit of a twist. And today I'm going to be showing you two variations of one recipe. The first variation is going to be the classic way of doing the big and bouncy. We're going to really focus on what and how we do what and why we do what we do with the Lee Stafford Education big and bouncy blow dry. And I'm also going to show you a little twist of how to not only go that little step further with your big and bouncies to try and mix it up a bit and not feel like you have to do the same thing day in and day out. So yeah, that's what we're here today for, Lee.
Brilliant colour, first of all, Liam. I mean, it's just amazing. You talk about putting a twist on something, but just that colour you've done there. I mean, talk about putting a twist on the big and bouncy.
Yeah, looking good, buddy. She's looking good. It's do you know who did it for? One of my apprentices did it for me in the salon, funny enough, mate. I said she's going to have a few people looking at this hair color today. You need to make sure it's perfect, and she's done a great job on that there. Just put a nice little bit of a fashion color on there for us, just to emphasize that even though we're doing a classic blow dry, it can work even with the most current and most fashionable colors.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
So, sorry, mate, go on. I want to clear something up from last week, because me and Morgan, we were talking about college students and their training and about getting jobs when they leave the salon. And I think it got misconstrued, our situation. I just want to make it double clear to all our students out there in colleges that you could get a job in a salon, no problem whatsoever. I guarantee you that just doing the LSE program alone will get you an interview with any salon owner, because they will be so intrigued to see how you've been trained. But if you can deliver them recipes like I know you're going to do, guys, in that interview, when you do, some hair in front of them, if you can deliver a recipe as good as what your college trainer delivers it, or what you see in the LSE videos, you will definitely be able to get a job as a stylist in a hairdressing salon when you leave college.
Absolutely. Can I just jump in on that one as well, guys? I just want to, as a salon owner and as somebody who's been in the industry for 21 years this year, crikey, too many years. I've got to tell you guys that whoever goes through a Lee Stafford Education college and learns all the recipes inside out and back to front, for me as a salon owner, when I'm trying to employ someone, I need to know that they're really good at what they do. And I know that the fact if someone comes to me with a Lee Stafford Education qualification with their MVQ level 2 or 3, I know the fact they're going to be of a standard. So for everybody who's watching this now, whoever it is going through the process of learning hairdressing with a Lee Stafford Academy, hats off to you. You're going to have a great opportunity by getting into a salon as soon as you finish your course. It doesn't matter if you're an apprentice or if you're full-time. That qualification is up here compared to many other colleges.
Thanks for that, Liam. So I hope that's cleared it up with you all. Guys, you carry on what you're doing, you master them recipes, and you'll get a job anywhere. The world of opportunities will open up for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, first and foremost, guys, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, I feel super privileged to be able to stood in front of you guys, sharing one of the recipes here with you. And what we got here today, as I've already mentioned, is the Big and Bouncy Blow Dry. Now, the Big and Bouncy is something I use day in and day out in the salon. It's an absolute salon winner. It's a classic. It's phenomenal, and you get great results from it as well. Not only is it you get great results, but when you're working in the salon and you want to stay on time with your columns because you're super busy, we got methods in place within the recipes which can speed you up, be more confident in what you're doing, and deliver beautiful results at the same time. So here we have a pre-done, probably around about 80% finished Big and Bouncy blow dry for you guys. But I want to just step back a little bit rather than just cracking on with the blow dry, and I want to really just share with you what I've done and what I've focused on to make sure that that I'm going to get the best result that I possibly can. Now, one thing is super important, and you'll learn this throughout all of your Lee Stafford education recipes, is the prep and what you put into it before you even get hands-on with your tools. Now, here today, I've shampooed the hair, and I've also made sure that I've used the right products to get the best results that I possibly can. I've used a double blow mousse from the Lee Stafford product range. This one here, it's fantastic. It doesn't make the hair go crispy. It makes it malleable and easy to style, so you know you're not going to get your brushes caught in the hair whatsoever. And not only that, you get a beautiful finish from it and longevity without making that, you know, the old-fashioned products Lee used to get, which used to make the hair feel like straw sometimes. This is such a beautiful product to use, and I recommend it for anything like the Big and Bouncy blow dry. It's absolutely fantastic. So yeah, we've got the prep on there. I've got the sectioning in. We've done it in big sections. This is going to help speed you up and make sure that you're going to get results quicker as well. I've seen it many times in the past when you see a Big and Bouncy and you've someone who maybe has not had as much experience doing it, and they take an hour and a half to do it, and that's fine taking that time. But if you want to speed up and you want to get better at what you do and get that great result, the recipe is your best friend. Stick to the guidelines and you'll get an incredible finish on it. So we've got all the sectioning in place. Something that I want to show you guys, which I want you to be really focused on, is not only what you're blow drying, but how you're leaving the hair when you're pinning it in. It's super important that we're getting a really nice barrel curl there and pinning it in really gently. We don't want to put too much pressure with it on the hair at all, because we don't want to create lines in the hair, but we want to make sure that the curl itself is really wound in beautifully. We don't want to twist it, we want to wind it. So we're getting a really beautiful finish on the hair there as well. So my focus really has been on making sure that the hair has been blow dried pristinely and then wrapped pristinely as well, because I know that when it's in there and it's cooling down and you're going to get that longevity and style from it, I know that it's not going to have any nasty kinks in it, and we're going to have to smooth them out afterwards. Again, speeding you up and getting you that great result that we all after.
I mean, you can tell, Liam, that, you know, you can always tell the quality of the final finish by the quality of the set, can't you? If the set looks really clean, really even, really well placed, then the chances are you're going to get a good finish. Would you agree?
Oh, totally, 100%. And it's not only that. You think about it, guys. You're new stylists in the salon, and sometimes if you're just rushing through a blow dry, maybe not thinking about where the hair's laying in the face, or if you're not really focusing on how the client's feeling or anything, if you do something like this and do a great set on it, not only does it look good, but the client's going to be super comfortable with what's going on, because they know that you're in full control of what you're doing. There's lots of messages coming through. Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Lisa, hi, Lee. Hello, everybody. They're all jumping on now. So that's really cool.
Laura, I look at Laura. She says, "Hi, Lee. I'm off sick today from Chichester College, but I'm still here watching and learning." That is the sign of a winner. Well done, Laura. I predict things with you.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Someone who's not feeling very well, but they're still putting their time into learning. Fantastic stuff, guys. Yeah. Well done. So we've got the set in place. We've done all the beautiful sectioning and making sure it's really speeding this up. I'm now going to go jump into a little bit of blow drying, which Lee's going to probably pop me on mute in a moment. But what I'm going to do before I start blow drying, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to be focusing on as I'm blow drying, because it's super important we hit these key points of this blow dry. So I'm just going to move the hair out of the way a little bit. So that's going to drop there for the moment. I'm going to work on this.
How dry is that hair?
So so when it comes to the recipe, we want to make sure that the roots are 100% dry and the ends are slightly damp. So around about 80% dry on the mid lengths and ends. On that note, mentioning that, we're going to get a little bit of water on there in 1 second, if I can find that.
Any questions, guys? Any questions for Liam? Any questions for myself? Any questions about your LSE training, about your career? Any questions whatsoever, guys? This is a great opportunity to ask Liam. Like I said, Liam's an award-winning stylist, got an award-winning salon. He employs lots of people, very experienced in the industry. So any questions, guys, just fire away.
Absolutely. Please do, guys. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you guys may have.
Reagan's got a question, Liam. She says, how common is the Big and Bouncy in a salon?
Wow, good question. How common is it? I probably do it on average for my clientele once a day. And the reason why I like to do it is because when clients come to the salon, and tell me if anyone else believes this too, they come to salon to have something different that they can't do at home. So when they go at home, if you're just whacking the straighteners through someone's hair or curling the hair with straighteners, that's a technique that they can reproduce very, very easily at home. I like to do things for my clients that are a little bit more in depth, and they feel like they're actually having something special done. So the Big and Bouncy is a fantastic blow dry to do on your clients, which is going to give you some incredible results and give you that sort of that standout, what's that USP, unique selling point to your clients. So you're doing something a little bit more than just the average. Okay, so what I want to show you guys exactly what I'm going to focus on here. We've got our top section here. So we're one away from the front, just so that you can see there. We've got one section at the front and we're just working on the one behind it here. Now, when it comes to blow drying the hair, the whole hair itself needs to be worked on. We can't just forget about a piece just sat in the corner here. We can't just focus on the mid lengths and leave the ends fluffy. We've got to really make sure that we're focused on every part of this blow dry, just so that we get that sort of glamorous wow factor to it. So what we're going to be doing in a moment here is that I'm going to be focusing on the roots first. I really want to make sure that root direction is nice and high because I want to give me the biggest, bounciest blow dry I can possibly give it. So I'm going to focus on the roots first. I then work down to the mid lengths and make sure that the mid lengths are nice and smooth through here. And then as we go, as soon as we know that we've got the root direction in the right way and that we've got the mid lengths nice and smooth, we then focus on starting to smooth the ends and then start wrapping that up for you. Lovely. Okay, so Lee, I'm going to start blow drying if that's okay, mate.
Right. When you want me to get you off of mute, sorry, just give me a thumbs up.
Gotcha, buddy. Gotcha.
So while Liam is doing that, we've got a question from Amanda. She said, "Will these be on every Monday?" That's a good question, Amanda. Thank you for that question. What we've done, we've scheduled in. I think there's 26 of these that will be happening all through the next year. So they're roughly happening every other week. Is it every other week? And we did one last week, didn't we? Every week, every other week. But there's going to be 26 throughout the year. And what we've tried to do with these, Amanda, and everybody else, how we've tried to create these masterclass lives is a slight mashup and a slight twist on what you're learning in the salons, the classic recipes that you're learning, in the college, Then with the masterclasses, we want to use them classic recipes, but give them a little twist or a stretch or a squeeze to show you how many hundreds of different looks you can get from that one technique, that one classic technique that's either, like I say, stretched or squeezed or even mashed up with another recipe. I know that Liam did another great technique for us in his other masterclass. He mashed up, correct me if I'm wrong, it was a uniform layer and it was a long grad It was a uniform layer and one length below. That was it, wasn't it? One length below and a uniform grab, which was fantastic. He got a really kind of cool sort of 21st century mullet vibe out of mashing up them two recipes. So that's how we're that's how we've created these masterclasses. So what you can see Liam's doing there is doing the classic Big and Bouncy. You can see how much control Liam's got over that, and you can see the direction that he's using the hairdryer in. So if he was using that hairdryer the other way, what he'd be doing is blow drying a lot of that hair, and it would be coming away from the brush. So it's very, very important, the direction of your hairdryer when you're using your brush to keep the hair nicely controlled. And again, you know, the more control you've got over that hair when you're doing the actual process, the better the result you're going to get in the end. So you can see now Liam's just letting that cool down a little bit. He's got you know, a lot of control over that hair when he's using it, and you can see now even when he's wrapping it around his fingers, you know, it's all very, very controlled. Just take your time. The clip is going in, so what it's doing, the clip is catching the roots of the hair underneath and the barrel of the hair that he's just worked on, so that's what keeps that really tight and close to the scalp and secure. But you can see the quality that that Liam's got that in, and the beauty of.
Oh, can you hear me?
We can hear.
Sorry, yeah, I was listening away there, buddy. It's describing it incredibly well, and loving every little bit of it. There, I just wanted to, before I move on to the front section, because I just want to emphasize again the importance of the finish of the hair. If you notice that when you're blow drying the hair, and then you might get the roots, they might look a little bit curly still, especially if someone's got a stronger curl pattern in the hair. Don't be afraid to go back over it. So unpin it again, just go back in there, just get that root that little bit smoother, because it's going to make pay back later. It really, really is. So throughout this whole section up on the top here, and again, I'm going to unpin it before I pin it back in here. Throughout the whole of this section, it's super shiny. The polish on the hair is super, super smooth. However, it's not going to cause any issues. I know once I've set it in place, it's really, really gently just popping that in there, running the clip along the scalp, and then holding that onto the top of the head there. And that's going to give us absolute volume on top. You can see where that root's coming from, and it's just barreling back around on itself, nice and tightly through the middle. Brilliant, mate. You can pop me on mute. I'm going to go back in and do this, finish the front section here.
Cool. So any more questions you've got for us, guys, for me or for Liam, please fire away. Any trainers in the colleges? I know some of you are in classrooms at the moment, so if you want to just shout out to your college trainer, and maybe they could ask us a question. But again, what you see now is Liam's now moved his body to the front, so and he's pulling it away from the scalp and away from the forehead, which is going to give you more root lift there as well. I mean, I personally love this Big and Bouncy blow dry. I love the fact that, you know, you get it 80% dry, because if you try to do a Big and Bouncy blow dry on someone from wet who's got quite thick curly hair, you could be standing there for hours and you don't get any better result. So I love the fact that we actually get the hair like 100% dry on the roots and 80% dry on the mid-length and ends, because it just speeds up your delivery. I also love the fact there's only 1, 2, let me count them again, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I think there's nine. That's right. There's 9 sections on this head. I mean, I must admit, when I used to do the Big and Bouncy before we ended up mastering this recipe with some of the best hairdressers in the world, I used to do many more sections in the hair. And again, you know, you do more sections, it takes you much more time, and you don't get a better result. I love the fact that just by having 1 section at the sides, for example, rather than a few sections, is you get incredible root lift around this area, because you've only got 1 section and you have to bring it right up. You just get insane root lift. And that's the same all over by just using the 9 section technique.
Okay.
I love the way that you're actually putting your fingers on the scalp and then wrapping it around.
Yeah, absolutely. So that just really allows you to get it nice and clean. If you start from the end and start trying to wrap around itself, you start ruching the hair up, you start creasing the hair, and it's all, again, it's all in the prep. Get this prep right, you're on for a winner, no problem whatsoever. So we can see we've got that. Yeah, let me take the head off of there. Looser there. We're going for maximum volume on top there. We can see where that root's coming out from the head and then just pinning back around on itself here as tight as we possibly can there through the middle, and then that section behind. And even with every other section around, it's coming out directly from the head. It's just allowing that maximum volume, longevity, and make sure it lasts all night long, especially when your clients are going out for a party. Come on, tell you something, Christmas period, buddy. This is all day long in the salon. My goodness.
There's something very cool about looking at that when it's in a set. I don't know, it's because it hasn't got the rollers, but it just feels modern, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah, definitely. And it's, again, your client's sitting there and they've probably never had anything like this done before in their lives, you know? Just really, you're giving them something unique. And the best bit, and we'll get onto it in a little bit, is when you start taking these rollers, these pins out of the hair, and you go, that's why I set it in as well as I possibly could, because you really do see those incredible results. So, sorry, mate, go on.
A quick question. So I know you run a really first-class ship in your salon. You've got lots of apprentices that work for you. How big importance do you put on the shampoo experience in your salon?
Ooh, okay, so for anybody that's working in the salon as an apprentice at the moment, you'll know that a client will say to you, this is my favorite bit, because this is the relaxation bit. I mean, how important is it to know that you're doing, looking after someone and you're making them relax before they have the process of having their hair cut anyway. It's within the head massage, the pressure you use on the hair, the products that you use on the hair. It's an incredible part of the experience, and you can't emphasize enough how important it is to make sure that you're doing a great service at the back bar. Conversation with your clients is really, really key as well. Find out how they get on with their hair. What are they using on their hair? Should they really be using certain products, or should they be using something a little bit better on the hair? Because I know I've got one thing that I always say to my apprentices when they're selling. I say, do you speak to your clients when they're having their hair washed? So, and they'll say, oh, maybe sometimes. And I say, well, think of it this way. I said, if you had a Ferrari, would you wash your car with fairy washing up liquid? And the reality is no, you wouldn't. So you want to use that same analogy of hair as well. So if you're going to be getting a brilliant hair color and a brilliant cut in the salon, you want to be using the best products on your hair possible.
And do they all do, are you into this sort of like the massage and all that experience? Is that important in the salon?
Yeah, I've got new basins that have just been installed in the salon actually. They've got the back massage, leg massage, and obviously the head massage is super, super important. Slowing it down, chilling them out, making them relaxed, and they never forget it. You know, I used to be known as the best shampoo in the salon back in the day. And clients would just be asking for you, and you make great relationships with clients. And if you're in the salon already and you're looking after clients at the back bar, those clients can end up becoming your clients as well. So you're instantly sharing that sort of relationship with that clientele. And they probably will, if they're happy with the way that they're shampooing their hair, they're most likely let you get a pair of scissors on the hair as well.
Nice one.
Lovely. So we have just finished the set here. I'm going to pop this head aside and let it cool down for a bit, and we're going to bring it back later and do a little bit of finishing on it. I'm going to bring in my next model.
So was this the haircut that you did on the last live masterclass?
Yeah, so I'm actually, not this head here. Let me go grab it for you very quickly. The head that I'm working on here is actually the same head that I used back in, I think it was May, I did the cut on this one. And we did the shag haircut, okay, which required us to have really short layers through the top, longer lengths through the sides, just allow to give this maximum texture through the hair. And we've got some really nice soft colors going through this hair at the moment to really show off that texture. Whereas when I was in the last live class, all I did essentially is I wanted to give it a little bit of wild wild texture to the hair. I didn't want to create anything too set. I just wanted to get my hands into it and just show off all that beautiful texture. Now we're focusing on a bit of styling today, and as before, I just showed you was a little bit of the classic Big and Bouncy. This is something that's going to you'll fall back on time and time again. But what I'm going to show you today is something that allows us to take that Big and Bouncy, and once we've mastered that Big and Bouncy, we can then put our own little spin on it, which I think is really, really cool. So I was going to really just share with you and show you what I've done so far with this head, and explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. I believe there's a question there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, Catalin, good question from Catalin. In the salons you've worked in, is the Big and Bouncy more common amongst younger adults or elderly people, or does it just vary? Good question. Thank you for that question.
That's a really good question. For us in our salon, we, I probably would say the average person, average age is probably between sort of your 25 through to 55 would go with a Big and Bouncy. But again, it doesn't really matter as long as the head's suitable for that style. Rock it, go with it, you know, really just embrace the actual Big and Bouncy. It doesn't matter what age the person is. Again, it's all about giving the client that unique selling point about yourself, making sure that you are giving them something that they can never do at home and make them want to come back time and time again. So age, for me personally, I think it's from about 25 to 55. There's the age bracket that go for the Big and Bouncy, which is going to be a huge amount of your clientele in the future.
Yeah. And I think also, correct me if I'm wrong, Liam, but the Big and Bouncy has become sort of, you know, it's very modern at the moment. I mean, you know, if you'd have gone back 20 years when, you know, everyone was having their hair, you know, poker straight with straight, it would have been an older clientele that was probably having the Big and Bouncy. But as things have changed so much, and now, you know, you've only got to look on Instagram, girls are having loads of volume, and there's a lot of Big and Bouncy stuff going around, isn't there?
What's that? I'm trying to think of this guy from the Middle East, and he does this all the time. I don't know if you guys see it. He does this to the women's hair, sort of just pushes it forward and moves it around. All that blow dry is they've done a beautiful balayage color, and they've done the Big and Bouncy blow dry, and it just gives this luxurious mane of hair. It makes hair come out of nowhere for people that have got hardly any hair whatsoever. It just creates all this voluminous movement in the hair. So it's, if you're looking to give someone that bit more of a classic, bit more of a luxurious experience, and I personally believe you always want to aspire to get to the best, then go with the Big and Bouncy. You can't go wrong, and that's the beauty of all the recipes, and they're all relevant. You know, not one of the Lee Stafford Education recipes are not relevant. And again, all I've done here today is taken the Big and Bouncy and just put a little spin on it. The whole idea is with the recipes from Lee Stafford Education is to give you a foundation, not a ceiling. You know, it gives you a foundation to build on and give you those extra skills that you can pull from and get brilliant results from as well.
So what's the twist you've done here, Liam?
So the twist, it's a slight different little twist. So I don't want to sort of confuse everybody at home. I want to share them really, really straightforward. The sectioning pattern that I've done in here is exactly the same. The only difference that I've done is use a different size brush, which has given us a slightly tighter curl. And we've changed the brush angle from horizontal to vertical. So instead of creating this barrel curl that we've got, we now got a little bit more of a spiral, which is going to come out from the hair. Now, remember, this is on a haircut that's got an extreme disconnection throughout it. So we've got your short layers on top and length at the bottom. So we've created the spiral through the bottom, but we've created the volume through the top. And through the top here, we've decided to go with a slightly larger barrel brush, okay? This is going to create a little bit more volume, but less curl. It's still going to give us a little bit of movement, but less of a spiral, because I don't want those spirals falling in and around the face. I want a little bit of smoothness through the top there. Awesome. So Lee, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to show you very, very quickly the direction that I've done these spirals, because it's really, really key with this this look. Is if we have a little look around the face, you can see on this side, I haven't done the other side yet, is I've angled the brush and blow dried the hair away from the face. So I've curled the hair around the brush away from the face. I haven't directed it towards the face. Okay, it's really important you do that because we want the hair to sort of bounce away from the face in this look. Okay, and I've continued that throughout the whole hair until you get to the center back. When you get to the center back, you then switch your brush and go back. So you're all coming back to the center. Okay,
like
rather than yeah, so that's it. So instead of continuing that same direction all the way around the face, we direct always away from the face until we get to the center back. Okay, that's the only difference that we've got within this blow dry. So I'm going to go onto this side. I'm going to quickly do a couple of sections and show you how I did this technique of blow dry. I'm just going to lift the head up a wee bit. Fantastic. So instead of taking the big section that we've got here, I'm going to split this vertically down the middle. So split that into two. Okay, I'm going to work in the front section first and then work onto the one behind it. But just so I know that I'm not going to be picking up hair, I'm just going to very gently clip that out of the way. Okay, so I'm working on the front section. So on this side, we've directed away from the face. We now need to go on this side and still direct the hair away from the face. So I'm going to be smoothing and blow drying the hair backwards and winding the hair away from the face. Okay. And the same in the previous blow dry with the classic Big and Bouncy. What this is going to do is, again, exactly the same. We're going to focus on the smoothness, focus on the finish, because when we take these sets out, we want to make sure that when we brush our hands through it and loosen it up and break it up, we're still going to get a nice polish to the end of it. So I'm going to use my hairdryer now, Lee, and I'll leave you to it, buddy.
So we've got a good question from Laura. Do you section the hair wet or is it rough dried beforehand? Good question, Laura. So we dry the hair off 100% at the roots after we've prepped it with mousse, and then we rough dry the rest of the hair till it's 80% dry. And the reason why we do this is because you'll get just as good a result doing it from wet, but it'll be 10 times quicker. So thank you for that question, Laura. We've now got a question from Reagan. So could you use these recipes in any salon? Because my worry is that I'll go into a salon as an apprentice, but they'll turn me away. Now, Reagan, I can guarantee you, right? I had salons in London, Brighton, Yorkshire, Kent, Russia, Norway. I've traveled the world extensively training experienced hairdressers in their salons and on stage shows, and I can guarantee you, if you can do the Big and Bouncy as well as what Liam is doing it today, you'll to any salon in the world and you will blow them away. If you go in there and do it as good as what Liam's done it, as good as what you see it in the Lee Stafford education video, as good as your trainers in the college, you will blow them away. I guarantee you, any salon will be really impressed. So thank you for that question, Reagan. They definitely won't be turning you away. That is 100%. Also, we've got another question here from Catalin. Do you get many people wanting a Big and Bouncy blow dry before a wedding or a special event? That's a good question. I think the Big and Bouncy is a kind of special blow dry. You know, like Liam said earlier, it's a super glamorous feeling. I mean, there's no reason why you can't have that glamorous feeling going down to Tesco's to do some shopping, right? If that's how you're feeling that day. But yes, certainly if you was going to a wedding or a special event, or you're going out, you know, for a meal, or you're going out raving, whatever you're doing, and you just want to look super glam, then the Big and Bouncy is just perfect for that. And like we said earlier, it's so on trend at the moment. It doesn't matter whether it's a 20-year-old girl or a 50-year-old lady. You know, it seems to be timeless, and you can really sort of, you know, make the Big and Bouncy your own by how you dress it out afterwards and the products you use. You know, if you're going to use something that's kind of quite wet, for example, you could get quite a, you know, wet looking around the front. It can look super modern. Or you can, you know, brush it out with a brush and really sort of hairspray it into place. And there's so many ways you can finish it to give it a different kind of feeling.
Totally agree with you. The possibility is limitless, really is, and it's all about putting your own personal spin onto it. You know, we encourage people to be themselves, at least after education, and we really want to make sure that even though that you're getting that standardization from the beginning, we want you to flourish from there on out. So by all means, go wild with your styling. So I just want to very, very quickly recap what I've just done here. So I'm going to pull the hair out. I'm going to get a little bit closer to you because I have pinned the hair ever so slightly, but I've left the ends out because I want them to relax a little bit. I don't want them to create, can you see as I bounce her up and down, you've got that little bit of the ends coming out there. I don't want it to be perfect. I want it to be a little bit looser on the curls there. So I've got the shape at the root, but I also want the ends to be that little bit softer, okay? And also, we've also got those grips in there. You can see where I've just gently put them in along the scalp there and just pin the hair in place. Awesome. So I'm going to go into these top 2 sections. And as I go into the top 2 sections, can you see how much shorter this length is here? This was the haircut that I did the other day, the other month. So here's something, the shag is a super popular haircut at the moment. I'm doing loads of it in the summer at the moment. Yeah, massively. So I've got a slightly shorter section. So if I decided to use the same brush, let's have a little look at this quickly. If I decided to take this section here, take this brush and try and get a curl into that, I'd have to use a really small brush to get any sort of curl to that. Okay, I'm not looking for a massive curl. I'm going to look for something a bit more smoother to give it a bit of shape through the top there. So I'm going to change that small brush for a massive brush just to give a bit of volume on top here.
It's got a daddy.
So this is a huge brush that we're using. So I just want to put that into comparison against for the classic Big and Bouncy I've done just before. Let's have a little look at that. So we've got a medium size one, we've got the large, and then we're going to use this large one on top here just to create a bit of shape, not necessarily a curl. Okay. So I'm just going to get into there for you, Lee.
Okay, mate. I'll let you crack on. So yeah, just what Leon was saying about the standardisation, about mashing them up. We always say at least Stafford Education, follow the rules of the recipe until you can hit that Big 10 standard. That's our Michelin star equivalent. Because once you can do that, once you can do the Big and Bouncy as good as the video, the LSE video, then you're technically sound, guys. You know, then knock yourself out and break every rule in the book, because we believe when technique becomes second nature, that's when your creativity can run free. So, you know, all these recipes that we're sharing with you on the lives, all these mashups, you know, you can come back to these. We're going to end up putting them on YouTube. You can still come back to them at any time with a link, so that what our advice would be is wait until you can master it, how you see it classically in the LSE videos. When you can do that, then come back to these videos again and think, okay, let's do what Liam did. Put it on the slant. Let's color it differently. Let's, you know, and don't get me wrong, you can still, you know, you can still have a go at these even if you haven't mastered the recipes. But our advice would be, you know, try to learn them recipes classically first, because when technique becomes second nature, that's when your creativity can run free, guys.
Lovely. So what I've got here at the moment is a very loose barrel curl. So I'm going to show you a little close up of this one here before I move on to the front section. Really loose. We're not even getting a rotation on it. I'm just pinning it in place. I want to make sure we keep the volume through the top here. This is just going to get a nice movement, a little bit of movement through the top, and then melt in with the rest of the hair. Okay. Again, focusing on your polish, making sure you're getting a great finish that your client wants to see in the mirror, especially around the front here. So if you think about it, guys, your client sees nothing but this. They don't really know what's going on at the back here. If we're going to really focus on anything and we want to make sure that we get it perfect, the front is where it needs to be. Don't get me wrong, the back's super important because people will see you from behind. However, when your client's looking in the mirror, make sure you really focus your time through the front here and just making sure that everything that they're seeing is bang on. Lovely. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a hairdryer on again, Lee, and just get this.
So while Liam's doing that, I just want to talk a little bit about consultations, and I'd like to get Liam's view on it afterwards as well, because for me, you know, working in a salon, you know, one of the most important times with your client is the consultation process, because if you get that wrong, it doesn't matter whether you give someone the greatest look in the world, but if it's not what they wanted, if it's not the length they wanted, then it's gonna be a disaster for them and for you. So consultations are very, very important. You know, open questions, you know, getting someone to talk. I think another great way, you know, with you know, all this technology that we've got to hand on our phones, you know, is showing people pictures. You know, what do you like? What don't you like? You know, pictures very quickly can give you an idea of what someone loves and what someone hates, basically. So, you know, pictures is a great thing to do in the consultation, and as many questions as you can. I mean, how important is it for you and your team in the salon to get the consultation right, Liam?
Wow. Consultation is absolutely key. You know, 9 times out of 10, if a style's not gone right, it's usually falls back to the consultation. Questioning can be really, really difficult in consultations, and I get a lot from my trainee hairdressers in the salon. They say, "Oh, what questions do you ask?" And sometimes it's absolutely brilliant that you can use things like pictures. They're really, really cool, because you can take a little bit of the fringe from one picture and then take a little bit of the length from another picture and put them all together. But sometimes a client doesn't really know what they want, but not majority of the time they know what they don't want. They know why they don't want it up to their jawline. They know that they don't want layers short through the top here. It's really, really key that you find out, if you can't really nail what they do want, really nail what they don't want, and then you can actually start meandering towards what they do want. So I find that's really, really helpful when dealing with consultations. And just keep asking those invasive questions. What do you like? What do you don't like about your hair? How do you style it at home? What do you do when you're at home? Do they do anything at all? Because sometimes, you know, you can find out that the style might not necessarily be wrong. It's how they're dealing with it at home. If you can give them that bit of knowledge that you've got, because you found out exactly what they don't like about their hair and how you think that you can remedy that for them at home, they're not only getting a haircut and spending an hour with you, they're getting 6 weeks worth of a hairstyle that they can look after whilst they're at home as well. So consultation is key. In my salon, we, and it's very, very different across the country and how people deal with it. We have an hour for a cut and finish, and we have at least 10 minutes for a consultation. So it gives us at least 45 minutes to do the service itself. And those 10 minutes are absolutely crucial to making sure that you're on the right understanding with your client.
I've got one other question for you, Liam. How important is a consultation with a regular, someone you've been doing years, as it is with someone new?
That's a really good question. We ban something in the salon that we do, and it's very, very easy for us as hairdressers to fall into this habit. And it's going up to someone that you know that you've been doing for the last 10, 15 years, or however long it may be, and saying, same as last time. That's the worst thing you can do. You want to be offering solutions to their problems. Fashions change, people's hair change. It's really, really important that you treat the person that you've met for the first time the same way that you do with someone that's 10, 15 years down the line, because they will get fed up having the same thing day after day. They need inspiration, and that's where our job comes in. That's us as a professional. We need to inspire, and we need to give them a little bit more other than the same as last time.
And tell me this, Liam, if one of the students came to your salon, and they'd done a beautiful Big Bouncy, would you get them on the floor straight away doing loads of Big Bouncies?
Yeah, I would. I've got a couple of juniors. I call them stylists because that's what they're behaving like at the moment. A couple of apprentices in the salon at the moment, and they've been with us for about 6 months. They've been blow drying the Big Bouncy, and they're doing the twisted tongue at the moment. And they were only with us about 3 months before they got hands on with that. And that's going back to the recipe itself. If you're following it step by step, you're going to get the same result at the end. It's no different from doing a cake. If you follow the 4 eggs, a certain amount of flour, and bake it for 20 minutes, you're going to get a result. So it's really, really key that if, that's the strength behind it. I can be confident knowing that even though someone's only been with me for 6 months, they can look after and do brilliant results with my clients in the salon. So they can get hands on straight away as soon as you've learned that recipe, from my personal understanding. But again, it's very different in lots of different salons, so there'll be different standards, different results they expect. But I know I can step back and be confident they're going to give a great result if they're following that recipe. Lovely. So blow drying done, noisy stuff is done. I just want to point something out before I go away. How shiny does this look right now? This has
Looks
got a
very
beautiful
shiny.
finish. I mean, yes, we've got a ring light, but let's put a little bit of shadow over the top of it there. It's still got a bit of shine going on there, isn't it? It's got a polish to it. And for me personally, that polish is absolutely paramount. It's going to be looking great when you drop it out. So I'm going to take this one away. This model, I'm going to pop her aside and bring back our classic Big and Bouncy. And I'm going to start.
It makes it look expensive, doesn't it, Liam? When you've got that shine and that finish of it, it does, doesn't it?
Love that word, expensive. You want your hair looking expensive. Don't want your hair looking cheap and nasty, do we, guys? Okay, so I'm going to start taking these sections out now, and I just want to do it very, very slowly. I'm going to come a little bit closer and bring the camera down a bit so we can see how the hair is falling here. So here we go. Let's put the light on it as well so we can see what we're doing. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to start from the underneath. So normally I'd work from behind because it's a lot easier, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to take these ones out here. So that's not moved. I know that's been stuck in there for a long time. So we're just going to give it a little shake out and watch when this drops.
There, isn't it? Look at it. Look how much volume you've got from the root.
Yeah, that's not going anywhere. That's going to go against any hurricane that you throw at it, to be honest with you. But look at that shine on it as well. If I just move that around, guys, Instagram post, if you nail this, my goodness, you're going to get a few followers from it. Okay, so I'm going to work through each one that we drop down now. Let me just show you from the back. You can see we've got the same consistent curl going throughout all of it. I'm going to drop this one down on top of the one before. Again, look how high that's sitting beautifully. Let the hair cool down, because if you think about it, guys, your hair behaves a bit like, the way I like to describe it, it's a bit like wax. So I'm going to move myself up so I can see what I'm saying. It's a bit like candle wax. When candle wax is hot, you can mold it, you can shape it, you can create it into these elaborate shapes. And as soon as it cools down, it solidifies. Now, this is exactly the same with your hair. If we were just letting this drop once we've blow dried the section, the curl itself and the volume itself would just drop down as well, and then it will cool down at a less volumized state.
That's a great way to explain it, mate. That's a super
so it just allows us to really let that cool down in the perfect shape that we're after. Yeah. So can we see that we've got this lovely shape here? I wouldn't get this shape if I didn't pin this up in the way that the recipe states it too. So I'm just going to then take the section on top here, let that drop down through the middle. That's just over our crown. And then I'm going to turn her around so she can see. That's the ones at the back. And then we bring the sides out. Bam. I love doing that. The clients love it when they see this drop out. They're like, "Ooh, that's pretty."
It's theatre, isn't it? It's theatre.
It's a bit of theatre.
Yeah.
There we go. And then we're going to take these sections on the top here and just let that drop through the back. And the same with the one on the front here.
Rebecca's just asked, what products would you use for someone with fine flat hair? Good question.
Ooh, very good question. So fine flat hair, it really depends what product ranges you're using. I'd obviously recommend something like Stafford hair products, of course. But I would experiment. That's what I'd do. I'd experiment. So get a few different products. If you've got a few dolly heads at home or anything, experiment with your products, because you're going to get some different varied results. So even if you used that fine hair product was great on one client, it's not necessarily going to be great on someone else's. So on fine hair, personally, make sure it's nothing too heavy, nothing too greasy, or nothing too tactful. I'd recommend using something light and airy, so that you've got a little bit of movement. You can still get your hands through it as well. Once you've got the shape in there, you can then start using the products. But I'd recommend something a bit lighter and a bit softer. There we are. Okay, so we've got it all out here. We've got a nice little perfect set, but let's not leave her like this. She's looking a little bit too perfect for my liking at the moment. So I'm going to turn her around. You can do this with your clients in the salon. Just ask them to rest their head back ever so slightly. I'm just going to loosen this up. And when you rest their head back, you want to start getting your hands right into the roots here and start massaging the scalp, just like you were when you're shampooing. So we're just going to work our hands through, breaking up that perfect set that we've got, and just start raking our hands through the hair really gently. Try not to pull on the hair, especially if the hair is a little bit, maybe a little bit tangled. So just be very careful as you're doing it. And we're just going to run our hands through the hair to break this up a little bit.
And tell me this, Liam, what physical effects do you see of over-styling hair, and what do you advise your customers to do to prevent that?
So over-styling of the hair, let's think about that very, very quickly. I would consider over-styling of the hair would be your heat tools. It would be your tongs and stuff like that. So over-styling the hair, you can create irreversible damage on the hair. So I would personally recommend making sure you're using the right heat products on the hair. Make sure you're not putting the heat on the hair too much or being too forceful with the hair. We've just got to be really gentle on how we're working with the hair. But making sure you're using the right products on the hair while you're styling and stopping that heat from damaging the hair.
And I suppose also, you know, you've got to be quite careful if your hair's over processed. Don't ramp the temperature up of your straightener.
Temperature down, absolutely. Low temperature if you can. You don't want to be putting too much heat onto the hair whatsoever. No. So again, I'm just going to drop this. Actually, I'm going to bring her up a little bit.
Thank you for that question, Rebecca. Thank you for all your questions today, guys. We've had some great questions. If there's any more for, that's looking lovely already, mate. It's looking really nice, really simple.
Just so you know what I'm using here, guys, I'm using the anti-humidity spray here from the Lee Stafford. This is going to give it a little bit of shine, but it's also going to stop any of the elements getting to it. It's not going to give you a high hold. It's still going to make the hair move really, really beautifully. I don't want the hair to be too sticky, so I'm just working this through the hair just to give it a nice little finish to the hair as well.
If there's any last questions, guys, before we finish, then please let us have them.
So this is your Big and Bouncy, guys.
Yeah, it looks lovely, mate. I mean, the thing is, if you run your fingers through it, I think you get, again, you get a much more natural kind of disheveled feeling.
Yeah, the more you do it, the more you undress it, mate.
Yeah.
The more you do, I mean, look at that shine.
It's very nice.
And again, this is what the guy does on Instagram. He does all this.
Yeah. I like a little flutter. And the collar just sets it alight, mate. I mean, it really does.
Yeah. Give her a little shake out. Beautiful. You know, give that a nice bit of shake there for you guys. Okay, I'm going to grab the other head and see the varied result that we got as well. All right. So exactly the same here. We're going to start taking the pins out like we did before, but these are your vertical curls now. So we're going to start twisting these.
Lisa says it looks lovely. Thank you for that,
Thank you, Lisa.
Any more emojis to how you're feeling about this look today, guys?
What's your challenges, guys? What's your challenges with dressing?
Yeah, how are you getting on?
How are you getting on with it yourself? Have you tried the Big and Bouncy? What's your results been like?
Have you done it on any of your friends yet, or any of your family, any of your colleagues? Stacey's giving us a big heart. Thanks for that, Stacey.
Thanks, Stacey. Lovely. So I'm just taking out these last clips. And then again, same as before. We'll start working our hands through it. Again, get your client to move their head. If you want to get more volume, tell them to flick their head upside down, get that shake in the hair out, and then flick it back. Get all those roots really nicely.
Just do a bit of that, Liam, getting the person to put their head right over.
Yeah.
Like
shaking it up.
Amanda said, does it matter how many sections you use?
Does it matter how many sections you use? So that's a really good question. If we're going to be following the recipe, we want to really be making sure that we're following, what was it you say? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've got 9 sections in that. And they're really key to help speed up and give you that result that we've just seen on my previous head. Now, when you mastered that, if you start using those smaller sections, it's going to take you a bit longer, but it's also going to give you more curl within the hair, individual curl, shall we say. So it's nothing to say that you can't do it, just say that we want to make sure that we're getting that 10 out of 10 before we start using going out and doing something slightly different.
I mean, my answer to that as well, Amanda, was what would be the benefit of doing more sections? I mean, like Liam said, I suppose if you did smaller sections and you was using a smaller brush, you might get a slightly tighter, curlier result. But the Big and Bouncy, yeah. I mean, if you, I suppose if you was doing a much shorter haircut, you might want to use more sections. But what I would say to you there, Amanda, is really try to master the Big and Bouncy as it is, and then try it yourself with a few more sections and see how it compares. Tony Wood, hello Tony. Looks
hello
great,
Tony.
mate. Elbow cough. I don't know what that means. How are you, Tony? Absolutely amazing. Looks great. Yeah, love that going up at the front. That looks lovely, Liam.
Yeah, just giving it a little bit of a quiff at the front there. Again, this is just showing you the versatility of a Big and Bouncy blow dry. You're just tweaking it ever so slightly. But even though that she has these super short layers through the top here, we can still get a beautiful, glamorous blow dry out of it, even though she might have quite fashionable hairstyle.
Jane says it looks gorgeous. Thank you, Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
Yeah, Lisa, wow, such a small change to the recipe, and it looks so different. Thank you for that, Lisa. I mean, I suppose the difference if you use the brush, guys, if you use the brush on either of these looks now, you'd get a much more classic kind of finish. You know, it wouldn't be so, you see like Liam's is more broken up, you know, it would fall more as one. Two great looks. I mean, just depends what you're after. You probably might brush it through on someone, maybe a bit more mature, maybe not, you know.
But that's open to customization. This is you guys. This is you coming through and saying, do you know what? I want to have this a little bit more of a classic, softer look to it. So maybe I'm going to get a bit more of a dressing brush through the hair itself. There we go.
Bit of the hold tightly, Stafford. If you don't want it to move, if you don't want your hairstyle to move, then spray Lee Stafford.
I'm making sure this quiff stays in the right place. It's not moving.
You know what? That was one of the first products that we ever launched in the Lee Stafford lineup 20 years ago.
Wow.
And it's still going strong today.
Absolutely.
You know, that goes to show you it stood to the test of time because it is such a great product, that one.
How are we feeling, guys? What do we reckon?
Yeah, we're getting lots of love for that. Stacey, when are you visiting Newton College? We need to meet you. I need to meet you guys soon. So hopefully I'll be coming up there very shortly. I'll be seeing you every other week. You'll be sick of me by the end of the year.
Do you know what, Lee? I must admit, I really miss going to the colleges at the moment. I know with the challenges that have happened with the pandemic and everything, it's been really tough. But just to be on here now is super cool. And we've got this lovely shape going on.
Really nice.
All right, there we go. Let me get the other girl. Let me get her on my shoulders. There we go. Oh. There we are. Two different variations of the Big and Bouncy.
Two beauties, mate. Look at that.
There you go, buddy. Thank you very much.
They look great. And you've done that bang under an hour, Liam, literally.
Look at that. Whoa.
Such a professional.
Like I know what I'm doing.
He's such a, you want to take this up seriously. You really do.
There you go, guys. I really appreciate your time. And again, if you have any questions, you've got us all on Instagram. My is at Liam Bradley Hair. And you know Lee is Lee Stafford World as well. By all means, get in contact with us. I'd love to chat and help you out if I need to as well. That's what we're here for.
Brilliant. Thanks, Liam. You've been a star as normal. Thank you for watching. Like I say, we'll be doing these every week, every 2 weeks. Just check in with your college trainers and on Lee Stafford Education Instagram and on my Instagram, Lee Stafford World. We'll be announcing all the different dates and what we're doing on there. So yeah, guys, have a wonderful week, and we wish you all the well, and we'll see you very soon. So take care, everybody. Thanks, Liam.
Thank
See you
you
soon, guys.
Bye bye.